Hey guys, first Regardsman here, and so I'll be talking about the single biggest change that Space Marine 2 needs currently. Now, about 5 days ago, I did put out a community post asking people what they thought this should be, and about 300 comments are on this post now, so I'm going to try to read all of them. This is a ton of people, but we'll see what we can do. So first up, we have Spoon Racing 20 saying, "For all that is holy, perk loadouts." I 100% agree with this. Perk loadouts alongside your actual loadouts need to happen. Some perks in this game only work with one weapon, which is kind of insane. Now, a long time ago, Saber Interactive actually talked about this. They said that perk loadouts were not a priority for them, which is kind of ridiculous if you ask me, especially for siege mode where you're fighting two factions, and some builds just perform better on certain factions than others, and they are very perk dependent, which is kind of lame, but hopefully they do add this, and I 100% agree with this comment. Next, our Jake here says they need to rework bolter damage so that body shots aren't the equivalent of missing a shot. 100% true. Right now, the bolter weapons are so headshot dependent that if you actually hit them in the body, it's basically like missing your shot. It's a total waste of ammo. It's kind of ridiculous how little damage they actually do. Even the heavy bolter sucks on the body shots. Like, I understand that headshot multipliers are important in games, like you want to give people a reward for hitting enemies in the head, but basically missing if you don't actually hit the head, a little ridiculous in my opinion. Now, next guy says personal history stats like total missions completed, total deaths, total Tyranids killed, total cultists killed, least damage in game taken, most kills in a mission, etc, etc. This would be really cool, and having stats can really help players like kind of follow their own personal journey in the game, so I definitely agree with this comment here. This guy says, I just want an actual testing room to practice block timings, test perks, and to know the actual damage some weapons do. With the amount of perks and variables this game has, it's ridiculous that a proper training room is nowhere to be found. I definitely agree with this comment. There is a mod for this on the PC, but if you're on console, you are out of luck. Now, originally when they were going to add like the training room, everybody thought that was going to be like a test room for the actual weapons, kind of like Darktide has, but unfortunately that's not what we got at all. It's just like a PvP training room, which doesn't even like actually take your weapon perks into account, so unfortunately we don't have it yet, but hopefully they do add that. This guy says, I'd like a practice arena. Now we need to drop into ops just to test weapons, parry times, etc. So it's the same guy here saying, well, this is the same comment as this, asking for a testing arena. I 100% agree. And he says, I like 9.0 for its headshot multiplier being shown. Oh, definitely. This is like the best update they actually did to the weapon stats here. Now in 9.0, you can actually see the ×2 headshot multiplier for some weapons. Really useful and stuff like that, like know how much benefit you're actually getting out of some of the weapons here. Now, Big Boa Bosk says FOV for console. I mean, simple request and mandatory request. FOV is very useful in this game. It also just makes your eyes hurt less because the base game FOV is like really fucking ugly at times in my opinion. So FOV for console should just be mandatory. They did add this to PC, but like it should come to console. There's no reason not to. This guy says drip restrictions. I should be allowed to kit bash my Marine to the fullest desires. I believe they said they are working on this. They will try to make it so you can actually separate champion packs and things like that. So hopefully we do see that in the future. But for now, mods are like pretty much where all the drip is, which is kind of unfortunate. But you know, they do have less restrictions than the actual company does. So let's see what they do in the future. Level requirements for hard siege mode. I agree with this. Like, hard siege mode should not be a leveling thing. If you do want to play hard siege mode and I like a low level, I would say they should have it only in private mode. And if you try to matchmake, you have to be like a level 25. That's a pretty good middle ground. This guy says the right answer is probably the class perk system getting a complete overhaul. For me personally, though, it's the multiplayer lobby system. It's so needlessly clunky to form a party. Why do we need to keep loading into the bars multiple times before we get into a mission? I mean, honestly, this game's matchmaking in general and lobby system in general is pretty awful and clunky. It constantly takes you in and out of things, but I have played PvP in this game. I do know what he's talking about. I don't play PvP a ton. It does suck, but I can definitely see the frustration here. And as far as the class perk system getting a complete overhaul, I think that is also true. It's definitely a good take. So here's a heart. Lord Turk says PvP jetpack in PvE. The PvP jetpack, I don't really know if you actually need it in the PvP. It would be cool to have if they had like a primary weapon, but for like the current jetpack, I feel like the reason they limit it in the actual operations is because they don't want you getting on the map on accident. But the Astartes overhaul did do this, so like hopefully we will see that at some point. I don't think this is like the biggest issue for the assault at all because his jump pack is pretty strong right now, but I can definitely see why you'd want this. So here's a heart. Chaos update, customizations, operations, and siege. I don't know if we're gonna get like a chaos update at all at any point in time, to be honest, but maybe one day. Now Underlig says, not exactly the biggest change it needs right now, but add an option in the post-operation statistics screen to leave the lobby. There are enough loading screens as it is without me having to sit through potentially 2 more as the hosting gets passed around. Furthermore, why do I need to load onto a shared battle barge before PvE content? It's cool and all if you're pre-made, but I'd rather spare myself yet another loading screen. Maybe there's a perfectly valid reason for it being there, but I don't know it. It's all I'm saying. Now, I think I agree with this, first of all. I 100% agree with this, that the matchmaking in this game sucks. Getting tossed around lobbies because the host, like, leaves after a game is horrendous. It's especially horrendous if, like, people are leaving mid-game, then the host swaps, and then, like, it gets to somebody that wasn't even there initially, and then you get kicked out again. Very frustrating, and I do agree, it may not be the biggest change that's needed, but, like, a matchmaking overhaul, especially by the time of Tech Marine, kind of needs to happen, so here's a heart for that. This guy says, I know you said change, but I'm going to say it, more animations, more weapons, in a mode that you can have more allies about the size of a battalion. I mean, the game would just crash if you had more allies the size of a battalion without, like, the PC version. But more animations, more weapons would be good, and a new mode would be pretty interesting. This guy says, improved Volkite, my favorite weapon. This thing definitely still needs some buffs. Make bolters do meaningful damage with a body shot. Headshots should always be better, but for example, it's wild that for a heavy bolter to feel remotely good, you have to get headshot after headshot like it's a sniper instead of a bullet hose. This is totally true. Like, you definitely notice it on the heavy bolter, even for my Norse enemies in the game. They take so many damn rounds if you don't shoot them in the head. And, like, Termagants get juggled and then execute all the time. It's very frustrating, so, like, I definitely agree with this. Desperately needs new operations, maybe procedurally generated aspects to add variety. It's a very cool point, actually. Drop in complete objectives, extract Helldivers 2 mission structure, add to this game, be perfection. I don't know if the game could ever actually have a Helldivers 2 mission structure. I mean, Helldivers 2 is pretty fun. I don't know if it's my preferred type of game, but procedural generation would be cool outside, like, the spawns and weapon drops we see in the game. But part of this is because, like, all the operations are tied to the campaign, which is kind of lame. I'm not really sure if I'm a big fan of that, but hopefully we do get, like, a roguelike aspect at some point. This guy says, bolters doing actual real damage, and I would say more primary weapons or the Storm Bolter from Space Marine 1. Bolters do really good damage in this game. They're just headshot dependent, so that, like, hopefully they do fix that at some point. And I definitely agree, more primary weapons kind of needs to be a thing, because primary weapons have been totally neglected, but we are getting the Pyre Cannon, and we are getting a Power Axe eventually, so hopefully that will, like, fill a niche at some point. The variety of suggestions is wild to me, especially being that 89% of them are totally valid. Goes to show how much ceiling the game really had. This is definitely true. We are kind of on a skeleton crew right now, but there are a lot of things in this game that's really need to be fixed. Excuse me. Tyranids and Chaos at the same time in Horde mode. This would be kind of interesting. I do like Vox Liberatus for this, where, like, you can fight both factions at once, like the one section of the map. Pretty cool for that. I don't know if people want this as much as they'd want, like, these factions to be individual, excuse me, in the actual mode. Like, you choose between a Tyranid siege mode or a Chaos siege mode. That'd also be pretty interesting to mix them together. A cool bucket style helmet that looks like a Crusader helmet. Pretty simple request, but a pretty base one. Loadouts need to include perks as well. 100% true. Two big ones I can think of: perk loadouts, more operations. Two small things I can think of: more Space Marine voice lines. Hearing something about Ultramar or Macrog or Ultramarines when literally any other chapter is kind of strange. And the ability to change Bulwark banner for pretty much the same reason as an Ultramarine banner, unless you're using the Dark Angel Champion skin. I 100% agree with, like, both of the takes he has here, or all four of the takes I should say. And that, number one, I'm really tired of hearing all the Ultramar stuff, because I don't dislike Ultramarines in this game, but constantly having every character be an Ultramarine was kind of limiting in a game where you can, like, swap your chapter around. It kind of takes you out of it at times. I know it's a pretty small nitpick, but, you know, if you're a 40k fan, that's what a lot of people who are still playing the game are. You want to, like, properly represent your chapter, and being stuck with, like, Ultramarine logos on all the purity seals and stuff like that is kind of, like, I don't know, it just kind of takes you out of the drip, I guess. I mean, it's not like a big issue, but it is just kind of annoying. More staff allocated to Space Marine 2 development. Desperately needed, but not going to happen, I'm afraid. A real theory crafter at Saber for perk trees. Each class should have distinct builds that fundamentally change playstyle that isn't just swapping a gun. Assault is the only class right now that has something akin to this with Wings of Flame or Zealous Blow Ground Pound. I guess Sniper does also have a couple builds, and Shadow Stab Cycling does still exist, but it is way more irritating to execute post 7.0, I think. I definitely agree with this. The perks in this game are pretty lazy. A lot of them are just, like, percentage damage buffs. And I don't really know if Saber Interactive's actually interested in like fully reworking perks that much anymore, because most of like the perk changes they have done are just like moving perks from one class to the other. But we'll see in the future. Maybe they will. Like, they did just have like a giant balance pass in patch 9.0, and maybe they'll do that again for perks at some point. But definitely a good idea. Enemy variety, mission variety, loadouts, settings for matchmaking, 21 IV for hard siege, for example. I think he's saying that like starting at 25, that would be pretty cool if you start at 25, because that would be pretty fun. Or if you're talking about everyone should be level 25 at Prestige 4 for hard siege, yeah, that would be pretty good if you only like get matchmake for those guys. But the game's matchmaking sucks beyond just like getting stuck with low levels. It's usually broken, to be honest. But loadouts, I agree with. Mission variety, I agree with. Enemy variety, I agree with. I think there are some bugs I might need some more mandatory fixing, like the parry bug in this game, but for sure, I definitely agree with this. An apothecary, I feel like an apothecary doesn't really fit this game right now with all the healing perks in it. Like, are you really gonna get a better apothecary than having a bulwark banner or an unmasked zealot, an unmasked vanguard on your team? I don't really think you can, and if you did, it'd probably be incredibly busted, but we'll see what they do. Make a system where strong players can play with other strong players. I would see a list where you can look at levels and prestige rank. Yes, this may seem like an inflated expectation, but I'm already tired of seeing low-level cousins in hard siege. Cousins, not brothers. That's a brutal take, Max. It's a brutal take to say, but I do agree there should be some kind of system to not be stuck with like super low-level players, at least in hard siege, because like there does come a point where you are kind of guaranteed to lose at points or be like stuck at a certain wave if your teammates don't bring the right gear. That's kind of true for like Prestige 4 as well. It's not always a skill issue, but like if you don't have a team perk, I feel like you probably shouldn't be playing hard siege. Maybe that's a hot take, but like I don't really think it is, because Dark Tide does have like a level cap for Orc Maelstrom and things like that for this exact reason, so people don't come in like accidentally undergeared, because it's gonna happen. You know, it's not necessarily the fault of the player that joins in if the matchmaking system lets them in, like they're not Prestige 4, they don't have like the mandatory perks or like nearly mandatory perks on some classes. They have like proper ammo economy, proper damage and stuff like that. So it is kind of an unfortunate thing that like really it's not really the player's fault as much as it is the terrible matchmaking system. So I do kind of agree here. I think that every class should have ways to regenerate health and ammo without consumables. Like, some should be better at some things than others, but at the core of the game, the reason Siege mode is so skewed to heavy tech and Bulwark is because Bulwark has the best team healing, and all the three classes generate almost infinite ammo. It's not only that they generate infinite ammo, it's that they also just do stupid damage, but they also do a ton of damage. Okay, he covered that right there. And work together great in a lot of other ways, but the other classes like Vanguard not having ammo regen, Sniper not having healing, and Assault not having either makes them so much more of a chore to take to the higher waves. Sniper is like literally invulnerable, so I don't really agree with this. He has purification and stuff. He does not struggle with survival whatsoever. But Vanguard not having ammo regen, definitely true. Assault, I don't think Assault needs the healing as much. And like the biggest issue with Siege right now is that wave 25 plus is not balanced for like the actual classes in the game. You aren't supposed to win. There's a technical limitation post wave 25 where like the game will inevitably crash, and I'm pretty sure Saber Interactive genuinely wants you to lose, which is why the enemies get such an inflated damage resist and damage buff. But I definitely agree that we could definitely have some better class abilities for things like ammo regen. But as far as the Assault getting healing, I don't think it'd be a bad thing. I don't mind the melee classes needing healing, but giving healing to like all the other classes could break some of them a little bit. Especially like maybe tactical could need damage reduction. I'd honestly rather have damage reduction on classes than healing, because oftentimes the damage reduction is just better. But this guy also says, like, if Vanguard had a perk where when he's grappling hooks to an enemy and execute, he generates a mag of primary, that'd be great. Man, he'd be pretty busted if he had that. We'll probably have it cooldown, so it's actually not a terrible idea. Also, like, if Sniper had a perk where after 3 consecutive headshots, it fills his max health CHP with like a 120-second cooldown, that would be incredibly busted. Like, honestly, just look at the camo cloak cancel. If you don't know what the camo cloak cancel is, you'll never die on Sniper again. He might be the most busted class of the entire game right now, because you can literally be invulnerable the entire game. But I mean, this would be a very busted perk to have him all like that. But this all says, just so he has some ways to heal, that would be great. I mean, he does have purification. Also for Assault, imagine if once every 9 seconds he does a slam, it generates a little bit of ammo for each enemy hit by the slam. And also if you'd regen health for executing enemies hit by the slam, like 10% or something, nothing crazy, but a way to heal back up without having to eat into points. These are just ideas and not like exactly what should be added, but I think giving every class a way to keep up with eating into the team points when they are so important later waves would greatly increase their viability. I don't really think think any class is non-viable for like wave 25 right now at all. It's only like wave 25 plus, and wave 25 plus is just not really balanced whatsoever. He says, if I'm crazy for this, please let me know, but my end goal is really just be able to bring every class to all content, but I'm sick of getting kicked in match-made lobbies because I want to play Assault or Vanguard or Sniper, and the two people only want a max team comp. I don't know who's kicking anybody for match-made lobbies for like not playing like Assault, for playing Vanguard. Vanguard has like Unmasked Zeal. People always play with that in the Siege mode, but I don't think you need, like, as far as Wave 25 goes, any class can make it currently. Functioning servers / removing the class limit, the sooner the better. This is not a bad idea because, you know, the servers are non-functioning half the time. This guy says operations for sure and new weapons, not bad. For me, 2 new classes, as they would add much needed variety to the game. The game absolutely needs Apothecary, Tech Marine, or Librarian to be too cool too. I don't think the game really needs an Apothecary. I'd much rather have these two because Tech Marine and Librarian would fit the gameplay style a lot more. Other than this immediate change, I would like to see new maps for Siege and even a lethal difficulty. New weapons are coming, but I hope we also get a Lightning Claw. We also get Lightning Claws, excuse me. I think operations are good and they can just make more of them. I think we are getting new operations eventually. Hopefully not Chaos though. Well, maybe we will if like they actually fix the Chaos faction of the Chaos spawn, but we'll see. This guy says a new type of enemy, more operation missions, and more melee executions. Not a bad idea. Actual Deathwatch armor. This game could desperately use like more drip, so definitely a good take. I'd like more classes. Played the rest of Death. How about a Chaplain, Apothecary, Librarian, Wolfen, Death Company? Dude, I don't think they're ever going to add a Wolfen to this game. Death Company are technically already in the game. You can make them yourselves. A Sanguinary Guard, an Assassin, or some kind of unique company veteran. Spice up team dynamic a bit more. I mean, a lot of these guys are just like existing members of certain chapters, but like Apothecary, Chaplain, and Librarian, and like Tech Marines, those are more like chapter wide, so I think that's not a bad idea to have these, but maybe not the Apothecary. We'll see what they do, because like healing could be very bust in this game. It's pretty goddamn top tier wherever you find it because it breaks the resource economy of the game. And Apothecary, I just don't know how they'd make an Apothecary in this game that would not be broken and also fit a niche like Bulwark and Vanguard do, unless they remove the healing from Bulwark and Vanguard. That's just how it seems. Class feels like shit to play against. Chaos feels like shit to play against. Even the noise the bullet makes when it hits them sends messages to my brain that all my bullets are water on a tin roof. It pisses me off. I definitely agree with this comment. Honestly, I think they delivered a lot in this game already, and I feel like I got fair value for what I paid. Aside from balancing tweaks and maybe level cap for hard siege mode, I really don't expect anything from them. Anything they add will be a bonus. I honestly think at this point, if they do a roguelike spin-off, the same gameplay with semi-procedurally generated, handcrafted maps, dynamic objectives, as in Helldivers 2 Deep Rock Galactic style, that'll sell like hotcakes. It will be a blast to play, and we'll give them plenty of money for a bombastic Space Marine 3. I think this game still sells DLC like hotcakes. I mean, there's no MTX in it, which is like what keeps Helldivers 2 alive. We'll see what they do for Space Marine 3, but as far as like procedural generation goes and like roguelike modes, I would love to see this. I don't think this is a bad idea at all, and honestly, I just like roguelikes, period. This guy says more content, missions, ops, and maybe make it possible to play campaign missions and ops. I don't know. Many other points here are also good. More content's a pretty basic take, but a pretty base take. So here's a heart. Just more things to do, to be honest. Grinding the exact same operations over and over again to level up classes and weapons is getting really boring. Siege is still fun, but it takes too long. Maybe the game could get another mode like PvE VP, where 2 teams race each other to kill hordes of enemies in the quickest okay. I'm sorry, I just misread this. My brain just farted here. Other to kill the hordes of enemies the quickest. Okay, that's much better. Finish siege rounds faster or kill a boss the fastest. Yeah, that'd be kind of neat, though. I don't really think they give a shit about the PvP in this game anymore. I saw like a few new modes, though. We'll see what the Dreadnought mode is like. That might actually pull me into PvP if it's cool. Or introduce a boss gauntlet where you face a boss from operations or story mode, one after the other, until you either die or kill them all for massive XP gains and exclusive cosmetics to flex. This would be cool. The boss fights in this game are the hardest part, and a lot of them are very well designed, so I do like that. Maybe the overtuned Karn effect shots like chill out, but overall this would be pretty neat. Hell, maybe they could introduce a roguelike game mode, since that seems to be all the rage recently. You start with a bolt pistol and no perks, working your way up through different rounds of enemies with random modifiers. This would be really cool, and like I agree with like pretty much every roguelike take in this whole list, so definitely a cool idea. Here is a heart. Quality of life features, such as the ability to have attack indicators in PvE for attacks that can reach you regardless of whether you are the target or not. Also make the Neurosys Zone and Throw have hitboxes that match what we see on the screen. I kind of understand why they don't give them attack indicators, because they don't want you to like to just jump out of attacks or not have like pretty much no chance of actually hitting you. It could be very confusing for some players, but like some kind of different indicator might help, just like show that the enemy's going to do it. But like it does really bother me when you get shot in the back by things like you couldn't have possibly known were coming, especially like the triple shot from Rip Marines, because those things are fucking annoying and make barely any noise. Class perk loadouts, definitely. Perk loadouts that are tied to the game mode or unlocking the class limit, especially the new class coming. Unlocking the class limit would absolutely break this game's balance. Some classes would be totally busted together. I mean, some classes are already busted together, but like 3 heavies would clear all content, 3 bulwarks would be fucking disgusting. They would just never die. New class coming, they're probably just not going to fix it. I'm gonna be honest. I think Tech Marine's going to come out and no one will be able to play it. I think it's just how it's going to be. I mean, to make playing against Chaos fun. Hopefully the Chaos spawn does this. It might be nice to see another prestige level, a couple of new prestige perks. I wouldn't mind more prestige perks. I wouldn't mind just more prestige perk options. Maybe not another prestige level, but just more interesting prestige perks to choose from. Because like right now, half the classes in the game have like a very limited selection of like good prestige perks. That's kind of true for like regular perks as well, but hopefully they do fix this. Like it would be kind of cool to see new prestige perks. Looking for group, that would not be a bad idea. Better serviceability and less bugs. I had 3 parries and a perfect dodge that gave me a gun strike in a row with a Lictor and siege mode on Xbox. That is a very annoying bug for sure. Simply more weapons, ranged and melee, more skins and trader champion equivalents, more missions, both operations and story, more siege maps, and more execute animations. I think this is like pretty telling of what most people want in this game. People just want more because Space Marine 2 is pretty damn fun right now, and really the only thing holding it back is like a content drought. I mean, this isn't Dark Tide where the content drought is months at a time, but for the most part, we could definitely have more, but it does seem they kind of moved on to like developing Space Marine 3, and hopefully that game bangs, but it is unfortunate they just like burned a lot of goodwill on this game, but kind of like leaving a skeleton crew. But we'll see what they do. So like I definitely kind of agree with this. Apothecary class loadouts that include perks, swapping perks due to weapon changes, a small inconvenience I would love to see not be a thing. Yeah, I really think that swapping perks really should be a thing. Like loadouts just should include perks. I'm not really sure about an apothecary class, but like if they do it well, it could be really cool. So it's still neat. Cooldown perks. Most cooldown perks in this game are pretty broken, but it depends which class you're talking about, because a lot of them already have really good cooldown perks. I want a consumable that gives back 50% of the health of a medkit. I want it to make it look like a burger or an apple. Not the comment I expected to read, but one I have read today. Changes to Marine customization. There's many changes that they could iron out. This is always true. The customization in this game, it does need some work. Since most comments are probably on a rework to the perk trees, number 2 is more variable cosmetic customization. For example, a skull or the Deathwatch symbol on the Mark 8 helmet, most pauldrons interchangeable between classes, and the ability to add such remove purity seals. This would be really cool, removing purity seals. You know what my biggest pet peeve in this whole game is, which I know why it exists. It's because they're trying to sell the champion packs and like the cosmetic packs. It's that half the chapters in this game have like no knee markings whatsoever, so because of that you're stuck with like the base game like Black Templar and Ultramarine ones. I think Nova Marine ones, the Nova Marines also have it, but it is kind of silly how limited the kneecap options are at Satellite Champion packs. I know why they do it, it's they're trying to sell stuff, but we do have to kind of wait forever for things like salamanders and all that. I know you said single, but boy, there are many of equal importance. Perk loadouts, level caps, body damage rework, removing the timer in Siege, which they said is possible. Well, they said it was possible. They never said they'd actually do it. I can't single out one because I think all of these are equally important at improving the game. I do agree. So first up, in my opinion, the biggest issue with Siege mode specifically right now is that there's an N2 error that goes on, which is the disconnect error, and Saber Interactive has stated they have no idea why this is happening yet. They can't quite pin it down, and they are working to fix it. So once that's fixed, Siege mode will feel better, and then after that, timer's next, because N2 error means the game is unplayable, timer means you get timed out where you would not want to. So like once they fix that, Siege will feel a lot better, but like right now, I don't think Siege is in a very good spot, and Siege mode also has horrific performance. But as far as like perk loadouts, level caps, body damage rework, I agree with all of this, and I definitely agree with the timer as well, because like it is a huge hamper on Siege mode. It's really weird that they added in the Siege mode with the timer, because like, you know, they said it was an endless mode. If they didn't say that, people probably wouldn't have complained. An actual dev team and not a skeleton crew, listen more to the fans on what they want, and bigger drops in updates. I mean, bigger drops in updates is what people want for most games, but especially this one. I don't think Saber's that bad on like a content update, especially considering how many people are probably left on the game. You know, like Dark Tide, not to shit on Fat Shark, but Fat Shark just goes on vacation for like 3 months at a time. But Saber Interactive is pretty open about what they're working on. We just wish they were working on more. It's the biggest thing. Bigger hordes, less downtime in operations. I definitely agree with this. There's a ton of downtime in operations. The horde cooldown could probably be moved up a bit. And there are times in operations where like you'll get 36 extremists and other times you get like 18. I feel like the discrepancy in difficulties a little too wacky. I know you want it to be like different every time, but having like one game be a snooze fest and the next one be like a fight for your life. I don't know. Like when I play Absolute, I'm trying to get like shit on, I guess is the point. So Absolute should be hard all the time. Class restrictions for the upcoming Tech Marine. It's going to be a problem trying to play online if everyone's going to be using this, so you'd be better off doing solo ops to level up unless you do something about the restrictions. I agree with this, that class restrictions could be a huge problem for the Tech Marine. We'll see if they actually have any type of solution in the works for this. Maybe they'll just remove the class limit on the Tech Marine for like a week or something, like the first month. Probably not, though, to be honest, but maybe they will. You never know. Maybe they'll have no class restriction on the Tech Marine. Add an easy siege mode to level 1 noobs so they don't get their asses handed to them in normal siege. I feel like, I mean, an easy siege mode. I've never played the normal siege mode in this game, guys, so I don't actually know how difficult it is, but like an easy siege mode, I don't know if they're going to add an easier difficulty. They've never added an easier difficulty in this game's entire life cycle. They've only ever gone up. Maybe they could make normal easier, but I'm pretty sure most players already play on normal siege, so I don't think, like, I haven't really heard a lot of complaints about this. Make easy siege have the same amount of XP. Okay, this is all about easy siege. I'm not sure about if they'd actually do that, but it wouldn't be a terrible idea if it was like more accessible for some people. More classes. Tech Marine will be good, however, more classes. Tech Marine will be good addition. However, adding another 3 classes after would help the game. More diversity in the game like this will always be good. I'm not sure how many classes we'll get. If I want the 2 classes I want, period, are Tech Marine and like maybe a Terminator and a Librarian. I know it's like that was 3 classes, not 2, but the point is that those are the ones I want. Tech Marine, Terminator, Librarian. I could do without an Apothecary. I could do without a Chaplain. I don't really think Apothecary would actually fit this game that well, because like most of the revive perks in this game suck. They'd have to be like really OP to make them well, and like healing in this game is already on like half the classes in the game anyways, or I should say 2 out of 6 of the classes. And if they added it to like one more class, I think they'd be fine. And like I don't really think there's a niche that a medic could fill, but like Librarian would be very unique, Tech Marine would be very unique, and a whatchamacallit Terminator would obviously be cool as fuck. We need rewards for doing absolute and lethal missions on solo and absolute solo. I don't know if I agree with this fan, only because solo is like very clearly not the intended balance for the game, and having restrictive cosmetics, I mean, it would be good to have like really cool cosmetics for like really difficult content, but I feel like it should be more like a time sink at that point. That's what most games do. Like if you look at like Halo Reach, like the hardest helmets to get just took thousands of hours to play the game, and that way it's obtainable for everybody at some point. And solo in this game, it can be very hard, especially like true solos at times. And most of the game's player base is just not going to do that. I know like it's good to have limited cosmetics, but the intended balance of the game doesn't even really fit solo for the most part. So I don't know if they'll ever actually do that. Which is also why Hard Siege only has cosmetic rewards for like wave 15, not even like wave 25. 1, perk loadouts, and number 2, make bolter guns feel like bolter guns. Definitely based idea. Simple man. Simple man, simple request, good request. Class pick limitation, removal for co-op. Tech Marine going to be impossible to play with everyone wanting to try it, and I think it would be fun seeing a team with 3 snipers, 3 heavies, or even 3 assaults. I don't think they're ever going to remove the class limitation because it is there for balance. As far as the Tech Marine release goes, we'll see. Bug fixes and quality of life. I want perk loadouts, and I no longer wish to matchmake with idiots who are not at the Thunderhawk but are sitting in the fucking armory. This would be true. This game's matchmaking just needs like a serious fix. Having all of your guys make out in the armory hall while like you're sitting at the Thunderhawk is very fucking irritating. And half the time you don't even know if the guy in the armory hall is like AFK in his armory or if he's actually changing perks. There's no way to tell. It's very irritating, and the matchmaking just sucks in this game. Perk loadouts are going to be first on the list, but I think we're going to need in some way to get multi-classing in the game, because not only are people going to want to play Tech Marine when he arrives, but also because people want to have that option open to them, even if they break the game balance. Maybe they could allow multi-classing for private lobbies for a short-term solution. I doubt they're ever going to allow multi-classing, to be honest. That only max prestige players can play hard mode. I think for like matchmaking, maybe. I mean, honestly, you probably should be max prestige if you're going to be pushing the highest waves of hard mode, which is like kind of the point of matchmaking into it. But there should definitely be at least like a level 25 cap for like open lobbies. Making chaos fun to fight. Hopefully the chaos spawn does this. Better team balancing and a mini-map in PvP, more operations. I don't think they give a fuck about the PvP, but they will give us more operations. The new class ASAP, still at least a month away. Good luck though, Saber. Everyone's gonna be wanting to play that, but only one per mission. Yeah, we'll see what they fucking do. The parry/dodge system that has so much priority over everything that it destroys any gameplay diversities and breaks the flow of combat. I don't really think it breaks the flow of combat. It does for some weapons. It will do that for the Thunder Hammer. Like, some of the weapons need like a serious no knockback resist in this game that goes further than the one we have. Like, the invulnerability perks in this game, they will give you a straight up 100% knockback resist versus even boss hits, and I think we should have that for things like the Thunder Hammer, because getting interrupted by like one guy attacking you is just fucking stupid. Like, especially if you like do like a double aftershock charge. Like, the trade-off of charging up a full throttle attack or charging up an aftershock should be that you're taking damage to get your damage off, not that like you're also gonna get interrupted, which is pretty lame. Like, this ain't Monster Hunter. It was like one monster you have to fight. Let's see, an actual quality of life patch, perk loadouts, more custom paint slots, serviceability, game stability. Pretty simple requests, but pretty good ones. As a rhythm game, I'd like to see some work into the AI to continue with the issue of being stunlocked or attacked in a way there's no way to actually parry. There are a few times where you can get frame trapped super hard. No knockback in this game is like almost mandatory at times, because otherwise two sword warriors with like the improper setup can 100% 100 to 0 you, which is pretty lame, so I definitely agree with this. Mini boss practice stages, this would be a good idea. More melee options for the sniper instead of just the knife. I'm curious what they'll see. Like, I doubt he's gonna get the power axe. I'm pretty sure he's just gonna be stuck as like the knife guy forever. The ability button fixed. Yeah, there are some. I'm pretty sure it is fine right now. I've heard some bugs about this. I'm not sure what he's talking about here. One new operation level, perhaps. Bramble Tyranids shooting out an insane amount of brambles. They do shoot out an insane amount of brambles this patch. That's true. I would like more voice dialogue between the Marines and African servers. I'm not sure if this game doesn't actually have African servers. That would suck if it doesn't. Like, if you're from South Africa and you can't actually play. But that would be awful. But I would like to have, I like more voice dialogues between the Marines. I'd agree with this. Let us keep one skill when we prestige. I think like prestiging once shouldn't like set you back to one, have you like buy all of your perks again. But I don't think prestige itself is a terrible system, like, fundamentally. Randomized map locations like Helldivers. I doubt we're ever going to see this, but it would be cool. A new race of enemies, maybe a big ask for Space Marine 2. Outside of this, I'd say more consistent releases of operations. I mean, a new race of enemies would be like the coolest thing ever for this game, like Orcs or something like that, or even like a Gene Stealer update. But I don't really expect that for this game, to be honest. At least not soon. Maybe in like a year, because the Focus CEO did say that he would be making that they'd be like supporting this game for the next couple of years or something like that. So I imagine we're gonna see a lot of new content drips. I imagine like after the next season pass that is releasing in like September, that we will also see another one after that the following year. So we'll see what they actually do. Dedicated Tyranid Chaos Siege maps. I love they added Siege in, but a reason I shy away from it is that I need to play Chaos no matter what. Maybe they'll change the upcoming Chaos rebalance, and if they add perk loadouts, but I don't like not having a choice right now. Like, yeah, I agree with this. If they don't add this, they need to add perk loadouts, period. The fact that Saber said that perk loadouts are not a priority for them is like, it's frankly bullshit. Like, they just need perk loadouts in this game, period. So I definitely agree with this. Massively increased melee CHP recovery, 100% true. There is really no reason my plasma pistol can basically full heal me while an aftershock barely gives me anything back. I mean, I fully agree with this. Like, the melee CHP in this game is pathetic. I don't know what they're thinking with this. It's very clear they want range damage to be the way you get your CHP back, but that just doesn't feel that fun at times. It also makes certain ranged weapons just way better than others, like plasma pistol, heavy bolt pistol just completely outperform the bolt pistol, even the Inferno pistol at the time. Though Inferno pistol is like terrible CHP recovery, but like the standard bolt pistol and Neo Volkite, their CHP is horrendous. So if you're playing in an assault where your only primary option is a secondary option, you're kind of just stuck using the plasma pistol if you want to go to like the highest waves of certain things. That's really lame. So CHP recovery on melee weapons really needs to be fixed. This guy says, a seasonal leaderboard to compare my performance to others on operations and siege mode, perhaps with skins and bonus stuff for our characters when you finish the missions and the hard difficulties in time. Then a loadout to save all my different loadouts for operations and siege mode. Finally, a PvE VP mode, like a tunnel for two teams on each side that fight for faster completion. Left side Space Marines, right side Chaos. A focus level to complete the other team with possible modes to interrupt the other team. So tactical opportunities to decide if your team is going to straight to the end of the level or sabotage the other team. I doubt they'll ever do this, so it would be pretty cool. As far as leaderboards go, I don't think they'll ever add leaderboards to this game because leaderboards can be toxic. I mean, Dark Tide has a significantly more competitive player base than this one does, and like in terms of like, you know, what their stats are and things like that, and they removed leaderboards from that game for a reason, so we'll see what they actually, or, you know, they removed the stat screen for a reason. But then again, this game does actually have a stat screen, so who knows, maybe they'll add leaderboards, we'll see. Customization for the bad dudes. Maybe one day they'll do that, but a lot of people don't play PvP, so I kind of doubt they will. Shrink Chaos Marines, more customization, add Titus's Deathwatch armor pieces to the customization, and more different Space Marine armor. That's true. Titus does have really cool Deathwatch armor in the beginning of the game, and you never see it again. Also, the color of the Ultramarines in campaign is different than the actual color for your Ultramarines in the operations. The blue is a different shade. It's kind of funny they did that. Shrink models in multiplayer, or fix biovores running constantly. I don't really mind them running constantly. It's them knocking you over that sucks. Fix siege spawns getting stuck. 100% true. Fix disconnection issues. Yes, please God. Literally any new content that hasn't been in the game file since launch. I'm looking at UTech Marine Power Axe and Siege. Yes, I would like some new content for sure, but they have been pretty open on what they're working on, so we'll see what they do next. Campaign needs an update. Enemies, weapons, play as another class. They'll never update campaign. I'd be shocked if they did. Players that think there's only one way to play a class, like brother, we ain't even in ruthless difficulty. I don't even know what the fuck this guy's talking about, but something has some problems with some players. Class restrictions when Tech Marine comes out. That is maybe they will. We'll see. What I believe needs some changes. Rework the perk system to actually choose the perks that you want to equip to your weapons and not have a skill tree that you have to waste points on useless perks to get the perks you want. Adjust siege mode so you can choose whether to fight both Chaos and Tyranids or only one enemy group. Level cap hard siege mode. Give a universal buff to contested health, not just make it a perk. By doing so, you can free up certain perks and play some damage reduction skills. I think this game's perks just need like a more, like this game's CHP recovery system needs a bit of rework, period. And also just like perks need to be more interesting, period. Because like, there are a lot of rows just have like one good option. Also says melee weapons should have good contested health regens. You don't always have to rely on your ranged weapons. Give me more options to restore ammo for classes like Assault and Vanguard. Definitely true. Like these guys are terrible for ammo economy, especially Assault. Give classes more armor slots just like they have in PvP. Maybe they will. So that wouldn't be that bad. That's my takes so far. Not bad takes for sure. Like I definitely agree with this. I hope for more contested health changes. I feel like if I'm not using the right weapon, I'm fucked. This is so true. Zachary here. This is absolutely so true that the contested health is so weapon dependent, and that's not how it should be. Like really, there should be like some difference between certain guns and their CHP recovery, but like the baseline is way too low for like most of the weapons in this game, especially for melee weapons, that some weapons just suck ass where other ones are just good because they get your HP back, and losing HP in this game is a pretty huge detriment, so it is kind of unfortunate. He also says a second is maybe tone down the spawn of ranged Tyranids, constant spores, and range shots on /absolute is rough. I mean, I don't think it's that bad in teams. By yourself, it definitely sucks ass, but I don't really know what you're playing on here. But I definitely agree with this first part. Contested health sucks. Power claws, I wish. They need to make the biovores more vulnerable to damage when hunkered down. There's no weak spot and body shots do no damage. Yeah, I agree with this. So, like, they should take full equipment damage. It's kind of dumb if they don't. Like, you're spending a lot to drop equipment on these guys, and like blowing up a melt-a-bomb when they're hunkered does 0 damage pretty much, and they have no weak spot. So they are way too powerful in artillery stance. I definitely agree with this. So they take way too much damage to actually kill. And part of this is because so many weapons are weak spot dependent, which is why plasma bodies them so hard. He says, reason to steady grind. Of course, I think things like new operations and spicing up gameplay with classes and weapons are great, but involve a lot of dev effort. Things like unique cosmetics for playing tons of operations on a class, unlocking a unique variant of a weapon after completing a unique challenge for it, ways to show mastery such dedication to a class like enabling the ability to prestige past 4, but it won't reset perks such affect gameplay, other flex style mechanics like titles to do similar things. I mean, I really don't like flex style mechanics that have no gameplay difference, just like I've played this much, are not bad for games. Like Halo Reach had this, Dark Tide has this. It's a good way to show like, hey, I have this border for killing like 1 million enemies, and like that's just like a little fun thing for people to work towards. It also keeps people playing the game because like really it doesn't take a lot to keep players playing for a long period of time, as long as you have your dedicated players constantly having a new thing to work towards, even if it's just like kind of small. And they kind of tried to do that with the ordeal system, but I don't think the ordeal system was enough, so maybe they will add something like that to the game eventually. Titles will be very simple, so hopefully they do that. I believe implementing things of this nature does not require a ton of dev effort to add and work to not only make, I believe implementing things of this nature don't require lots of dev effort to add and work to not only make content more purposeful, but allows the existing content to continue to feel fresh to a degree. They could add several of these systems in a smaller amount of time than it would ever take to design new maps, weapons, enemies, etc., while still giving plenty of reason to play the game. The biggest ask is for unique cosmetics, and this could even be done in a drip-fed patch. Every patch adding like new unlockable cosmetics per class every update. I definitely agree. Like things like titles, like that can't be that hard. Like I imagine you could just add like another like little thing underneath the nameplate of somebody, say like they are like the Supreme Tyranid Slayer or something like that, like, or just like some more lore accurate names. But I do hope we get to see that someday, because those are pretty healthy for games longevity, and it's also just fun to work towards them. But if you're this, an extra difficulty or something that allows operation maps to have Tyranids and or chaos, or whatever we decide to set. Mass Effect 3 multiplayer had this a while back ago, a higher difficulty to fight different varieties of enemies mixed for different factions. Obviously, we only have 2. I was not expecting somebody to bring up Mass Effect 3's multiplayer, but if you ever played the Horde mode in that, it was one of the best Horde shooters of its time period. It might have had like the most sleazy EA microtransaction thing ever with like loot boxes. It was like one of the first loot box games they ever made, but I loved Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, so seeing something like that would be very cool. And also the classes in that game were very fun. So I'm just shocked. I was not expecting to see Mass Effect 3 multiplayer brought up in this. But you know what else is really good? Call of Duty Extinction. So let me know in the comments if you actually played those. More operations, more PvP maps. Definitely agree. I mean, I definitely agree with more operations. More PvP maps would be good, but I don't really think they give a shit about PvP in this game. Ogryn Space Marines. You just want a dumb Space Marine then. Interesting. Put all the armory data to use, like letting you buy equipment or sims, etc. for starting operations, like what it's for once you're maxed everything out. Hold until a new weapon is added. Oh yeah, the armory data could use like some kind of bonus, but being able to buy extra things in the siege mode for that, or for starting operations, would be kind of cool. I'm not sure what they could do with the armory data. Like honestly, this game is in desperate need of like more unlocks for a lot of the mechanics in it already, which is like, you know why requisition points cost 750 points to reset your prestige? It's because this game has no other thing, like no other real use for your requisition points beyond just like having a sync for them and the prestige perks, because once you have all the cosmetic unlocks, there is nothing that you need the prestige perks for, or the requisition points for whatsoever. So definitely read this. Or like some variation of this. A 4th tier in a fortress at least. I was so disappointed when those doors opened to wave 16. Yeah, I mean, they just need a new map. Period. Like a 4th tier would be like the minimum. Like this is pretty conservative estimate of like what we might be able to get. Honestly, it's probably the accurate estimate, because like a 4th tier is probably way more likely than them giving us like a an entirely new map with 3 tiers. So I definitely give that one a heart. In-game friendless, so you can add gamers from other systems. This game is cross-platform, so that's not a bad idea at all. See when they are online, so you can invite them to play. Naraka Blade Point has something like this, and that is a great feature. Also, in-game text chat on consoles like in Darktide. I don't know if this is 2 count. True. At least 5 new operations. I wouldn't hold my breath. Good servers and a complete overhaul of matchmaking. I hate the hub method that games overuse that always end up having massive issues they can never fix because of how far they are baked into the game. This is not a bad idea at all, but like hubs do kind of suck. Though I don't think hubs suck necessarily. It's just that this game's matchmaking sucks. For me, as someone who plays solo or private lobbies, I'd say map variety, prestige, and ops. New maps and regular changes for climate like rainfall. I can't stand Obelisk or the Dragon one. All chaos, which is a bit meh, to be honest. Hopefully this is fixed with things like the chaos spawn. Chaos ops and chaos siege. I doubt we're ever gonna get chaos ops. A training range or something to spawn in enemies and test damage. Information is so scarce within the game itself, and it's hard to visualize what's going on sometimes. I don't want to have to look up everything to determine if I'm sabotaging myself or not. Yeah, this game could definitely use a training range, which we thought we were gonna get at like the second update, but we never actually got it, so it definitely hurt. Honestly, it needs the next game. I mean, I'm looking forward to Space Marine 3, but there's still a lot coming out for this one, so we'll see what they do. And like Space Marine 2 is in a better spot than it's ever been. It's like they definitely improved the game over time. Not the single biggest, but give the heavy a melee weapon when using the heavy bolt rifle. It'll be a great addition to the gameplay diversity. This is not a bad idea, because the heavy bolt rifle kind of sucks on heavy, and doing this could fix it up a bit. Now, larger maps, 6 times or 10 times Space Marines in one map. I don't think we're ever going to get this, because this would just crash consoles. Allow us to see teammates' ammo/armor on the default UI. Why is this not a thing? Also, allow the Vanguard to use the Power Sword. Having a melee-centric class that only use 2 weapons gets boring. I think more classes should have the Power Sword, because first of all, the Power Sword is like super fun. And the only reason that like giving other classes pulls away from weapon identity in this game or class identity is because there are so few weapons in the game currently. But a lot of these would be lore accurate to actually have a power sword. I'm not sure how often you actually see vanguards with power sword. I kind of forget, but most of the time they use things like knives and chain swords. But as far as like a tactical goes, they definitely use power swords, so I wouldn't mind seeing more of that. And not the biggest change, but all melee attacks should have a dodge cancel or some other sort of animation cancel. This would massively improve the flow of melee combat and remove annoying lock-in issues where you cannot avoid incoming attacks because the enemy attacks after you start a melee strike with no cancel out of it. I mean, you can cancel with a parry, but like Bulwarks is just the best. I think like this game could have things like the jump pack dash giving you a guaranteed animation cancel. That would be pretty cool. And also give it like a significantly more useful reason to have it. But dodge cancels, I mean, part of the game's skill cap is supposed to be like you properly like plan out your attacks, because the game is pretty rhythm based and a lot of the enemies, like you aren't getting attacked by that many enemies at once at any given time. So I do kind of agree the issue here that is like animation cancels kind of sucking, but Bulwark is pretty goddamn powerful with his animation cancel, though I will also say it feels pretty good. For the servers to work consistently or rework the battle bars to have fewer loading screens, yeah, the loading screens are nuts. Flaws and all, I don't think Saber is providing us a bad game for our money. I think what it ultimately needs is just more of what they've been giving us up to this point: more operations, more siege, more customization, more weapons. Though there better be a chain axe skin for that power axe, else I'll be really upset. I'll use it anyways. I definitely agree, like, flaws and all, this game is definitely worth the money currently. Like, it's better than it's ever been. Like, if people liked it at launch, like, the same people would fucking love it now because the game is just blatantly better. It's, like, objectively better, I'd go as far to say. I can't really think of... Like, they fixed most of the bugs, there's more content, and the balancing is better than ever. There are more viable builds, and there's more content for everybody. But I definitely think we could use some bug fixes still, for sure. Though they have actually implemented some of them. Better contested health gain for melee, true. I require the blood and viscera of my enemies to stay on my assault at all times. Also custom damage marks, treat them like chapter insignias. Maybe one day they will, but they don't even give us like proper chapter insignias on decaps yet, outside like chapter packs, so I wouldn't hold my breath. PvP/PvP shuffle system, I think it means PvE/PvP shuffle system, PvP balancing, and PvP melee block dodge system, customization rework, assault mobility rework, class limitations, same class restrictions, etc. I don't think they give a shit about PvP, and as far as like class limitations go, I think they're gonna stay forever. Perk loadouts and way more customization. True. I just want my fast blockchain sword back. You might one day. They did say they think that they have heard us, guys. The block weapons will get a speed buff, almost guaranteed. We'll see what they do to their damage, because like blockchain sword is really strong right now. It's just very slow, and the damage feels good on a lot of these weapons. They think like the block power sword. It's just that their speed is not very fun to use at times, like their actual combos. Figure out a way to spawn more enemies, but make them less bullet sponges without crashing rigs, less reliance on headshots, more body shot damage. More body shot damage would be good, but like we'll actually see what they do. But maybe one day they will do this, because like right now all the best versions of the guns are the ones with the better headshot multipliers for a reason. So like hopefully Saber Interactive sees that and goes like, oh shit, maybe we should have our weapons do more than just like be fucking horrendous with body shot damage. And maybe it's just a skill issue of mine and my friends, but I've noticed there are a lot of melee Tyranid warriors spawning and we're constantly getting sunlocked by swarms at higher difficulties. Part of that is just learning to dodge and parry. Part of that is that no knockback perks are very powerful in this game, so if you're not using those, I would suggest trying them out if you aren't already, because that is like the whole point they exist. That's how they save your life, because sword warriors are kind of disgustingly powerful with stun locks, so that's why no knockback is top tier. Join back in progress feature. If you get disconnected or crash, and AI bots to have the random team perks. I definitely agree that AI bots should have random team perks, and join back in progress feature should be in this game. It's in Dark Tide, so should definitely be here. Rework of customization interface, having 4 separate windows for weapons, armor colors, perks is absurd, and they're all independent from each other. If you want to play a different chapter, you need to change the armor set with only 4 custom options and for at least 10 spaces, ideally 20. Go to a different tab and change armor color patterns, also with only 4 options, but at least they add 4 extra. Go to the weapon loadout and change weapon skin for each weapon, because each individual weapon has a skin. If you swap between weapon loadouts, skins persist, so you can't have the same weapon on 2 different loadouts with 2 different skins. Go to the perk tab and change perks. See, this guy wants it all. He wants the loadouts to also include like the perfect chapter loadouts, which would be really cool. Like, this is my Salamander build, this is my Ultramarine build, and I do agree that like I would like more customization slots. I mean, 4 is more than I ever expected for like an entire chapter wide thing, but like this isn't a bad idea for sure. I doubt they will actually implement it. I do not think this is like the biggest problem in the game currently, but it's definitely not a bad idea. I would not be opposed to them releasing parts of the campaign missions such as Skyfire or Avarax as operations like modders did. Don't get me wrong, I love the current missions they've been getting, but some of those holdout sections / mission mechanics could translate well to ops. The campaign does have some really cool operations, and the Astartes Overhaul did add them as like an actual operation for a while. I don't know if they still do, but it was pretty damn fun when they did that, so I definitely agree with this, though I kind of doubt we'll actually get it. This guy says a revamp of siege mode. You start with 0 perks instead of choosable weapons. At the end of the wave, the terminals also provide you with perks and upgrades for weapons, 3 to 5 tiers. In the current system, the starting 15 waves or so are almost no challenge, so a change of pace where it's not just fighting against harder opponents but level up, so to say, might bring some fun from the start. Also, maybe waves where Tyranids and Chaos fight and you get in between. Expand the maps would be good, either in size or in number. Also, a rogue dungeon style mode would be good, like in God of War and Niflheim. Actually, yeah, Niflheim was cool. I think like the Ragnarok thing they added was even cooler. But I think that's way too much to ask. I think it is too much to ask, but I do agree that Wave 15 Siege, for a lot of people, that is where the game actually like starts, because like getting to 15 is like that's when it actually gets hard. Like waves 1 through 10 especially are quite easy for most players, especially even in the normal mode, and 15 is like when the bosses start to get like kind of insane. That's like where the fun is for a lot of players, so I agree with that. They must accept the dark gods. All right, whatever you say, Bleach fan. For pity's sake, I want to evade button, but be responsive. I want the evade button to be responsive in the middle of a close weapon combo. I think it's because you do get animation locks, so I think it is pretty responsive as long as you're not animation locking yourself. Siege mode 5 people, they're never gonna do that. It's just gonna crash the game on consoles. More players in siege mode, 6-man team is perfect in my opinion. The same thing I said up here. It's just like it's a technical limitation. The game is already going to crash with 3 players, and if you have more, it's just gonna get worse. And like the amount of enemies it would take to actually like make 6 people struggle would be disgustingly high, and it would just crash the game. That's probably the biggest reason they haven't done it. I know it's not possible, but I like Thunderclaws. I've honestly been just bored with the game for a while. I only still have it downloaded because as a Blood Angels fan and they dropped the pack for them, might get back on Darktide. Darktide is definitely pretty good, kind of in a drought right now too. But yeah, Blood Angels are pretty cool, and I do hope we get to see like Lightning Claws or something. Leveling is a pain. I get that quick play operations is the main form of grinding, but does not feel great. Would love an activity that is purely made for leveling quick, maybe to balance new players want to jump into it. You could gate it to requiring a max character or 2. Probably the best way to go about it, but I'd be happy with anything to ease the leveling grind. I don't think the leveling is too bad in this game. It does get faster as you prestige, but like you do need something. Like I think leveling is content to some degree. Like progression is what keeps people coming back for games, but also you don't want to be like too grindy. I don't think it's like too bad. I think the biggest issue is that the prestige grind resets your perks. If that didn't happen, it would feel a lot better. And also some of the perks in this game are just too mandatory to make certain builds feel good. Armor from every class on all classes. Oh, there's no way they're going to do that. Personally, I think it needs to stop limiting the cosmetics, make every cosmetic within it with the exception of the Bulwark Shield, and maybe add an additional buff to your character for wearing higher level gear, and give the goddamn Bulwark a cloak that can be colored as well. I mean, the Bulwark does have a colorable cloak. I'm not sure this guy's on about. For longevity's sake, we need more game modes. For example, longer 5-man ops, maybe 2 to 3 per season with multiple bosses throughout. They need to have cosmetics tied to achievements from each op. I like completing ops in a certain time or killing a boss that take any damage. Also add drops like in a traditional RPG. This would be cool. I doubt they're ever going to do that. They could have 10-man boss battles. The biggest issue with like having more people in the game is that the amount of enemies that actually take to like put any amount of this many people in danger would just be ridiculous. It would crash the game. And they also said previously they did have 4-man teams in the initial versions of the game, but the game was just way too easy, and that was on an easier version of the game. But like now, if you just add like 1 more player, it would get pretty fucking ridiculous. And like to actually give people a challenge at that point, you'd have to add in like stupid amounts of enemies, which crash the game. More slots to make more drip for my marine. True. Skilled players. I don't think this is like the biggest issue at all. Weapon and class perks loadouts. 100% true. I think this is the biggest issue. Perk loadouts and melee CHP recovery. We are on the same page here for sure. The gameplay loop would change dramatically if both of those were fixed / changed. 100% true. I think this is actually the biggest issue with the game right now. Are perk loadouts and the melee CHP recovery. Like what some people said in previous threads, the ability to change perks and loadout pods during operation/siege mode run. It seems like this is the biggest thing I've seen this whole list here, is that people want perk loadouts, and I understand why. I think it is the biggest problem with the game currently, so it is good to see a lot of people bring this up. Make Thunderhammer lore accurate. Thunderhammer could definitely use a buff. Put the Astartes mod as the main game. I don't know if I'm a big fan of the Astartes overhaul. A lot of its balance decisions. It is really like rule of cool more than like actual. I don't know. Like sometimes it's quantity over quality in terms of the customization is really cool. I don't know. It depends. It's pretty fun, but I don't know if I want this main game. Melee contested health gain buff for sure. Probably remove focus interactive. This is a hot take, Sturm. Vanguard power axe. Probably will get it. You know, we'll see. Initially, I want to say perk loadouts, but I think they might need to take another look at some of the game mechanics, like CHP recovery calculations for some weapons, stun locks, a spam fest of some enemies, maybe enraged mechanics, warriors hitting like a truck, devourers transforming the game into a dodge fiesta, and other stuff related to balance. The game has had improvements throughout its life, but I still feel like some mechanics are off even now. I do feel like some of these mechanics are so fundamentally baked into the game that like you can't really make devourers a non-dodge fiesta unless you added in like a whole new mechanic for like range spam recovery, or like, you know, fighting back against ranged enemies with perfect dodging, because otherwise the alternative would just be you shoot back at them and take the damage, and then this means the game's like significantly easier. It's like, we'll see. I don't really like the enraged mechanic though, I will say that. Like enraged devourers do too much damage, because it is ridiculous how much damage a devourer can do to you, and warriors do hit like a truck, but they are less of an issue with their actual damage. The biggest issue with a sword warrior being enraged is that they just sit there with their shield up and have 100% block resist, or like a knockback resist, which sucks. Way more operations, true. Way more classes: Apothecary, Terminator, Aggressors, Tech Marine, a stretch goal of non-Astartes faction classes. I don't care if it's not lore friendly. I doubt we're ever gonna get non-Astartes factions, period. The tide between perk loadouts and a preemptive class restriction when matching things, so we don't all just get constantly kicked from lobbies thanks to everyone trying to play Tech Marine. Yeah, having like you be able to actually match make that you want to play the Tech Marine would be pretty cool. I'm curious to see if the Tech Marine will be paid DLC or not. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't be. We'll see how the actual season pass goes. But as far as like a tie between perk loadouts are probably the number one in my opinion. I don't think the class restrictions will be that big of an issue. Oh, well, at least not until Tech Marine comes out. This guy says the ability to pick the same class or introduce this feature as a modifier for operations when the Tech Marine launches. All right, same thing up here. I wonder if YouTube like just stacks these comments together sometimes. It does seem like these are all the same type, all put together. But I definitely agree. Tech Marine and matchmaking is going to be fucking horrendous. He also says PvP feeling rewarding. I mean, I don't really know much about the PvP. But if what I've read here, like having a bunch of new PvP modes would be pretty cool for a lot of people, but I don't think most people play PvP, to be honest. I think this is like primarily a PvE game. Aside from bug fixes, a harder siege mode. I mean, siege mode is pretty hard. It's just like, it's kind of broken at a certain point. It's pretty easy for like a certain point, but I don't know if you need a harder siege mode. Like making the siege mode harder would just be stuffing more enraged guys, because like 30 plus siege mode is already pretty rough and pretty obnoxious. So they actually do. Better perk system for more builds to make a lot of different 3-team combinations, and maybe add 5 people for siege mode. And with that at least a lot of cosmetics. It feels like 90% is missing for real. The protection, wait, what is this saying? Is missing for real. The protectional they can do right now and in the future, the potential they can do right now and the future is crazy. If I would be them, I would all right, this is broken English. Apothecary class for PvE. I don't really think the Apothecary is very good in this game. Higher tier cosmetic rewards for completing longer durations, less more difficult challenges. Yeah, I wouldn't mind more higher tier cosmetic rewards. It would be cool, like beyond just like wave 15, but we'll see if they ever actually do that. To be able to see what my perks are in game, I'm forgetful. I mean, I guess I would just be like maybe I'll add that. I doubt it though. Not a big change, but this game would really benefit from a quick turn mechanic and a perk loadout. Obviously, I think that like perk loadouts would be fine. Quick turn mechanic. That would be good for consoles. It's not really a big problem on the PC though, because of the turn speed on mouse. But bring block weapons to speed at least 4. They probably will do that, to be honest. I personally don't like hip firing being practically unusable. It is pretty good on some weapons, so it's not totally unusable. My juicy Black Templar's champion skin, it is coming, so you'll have what you want, Kinzo. I recently replayed the campaign for the data slates. It was extremely difficult to navigate. Matchmaking is awful. It needs to include a social ranking style to know if your new teammate is just going to speedrun the level, hog all the stims, and die immediately upon grabbing the gene seed. Lobby stability is bad. I can't see wanting to play this game once all subclasses and weapons are maxed out. Well, I mean, like, a lot of people will just move on after they max out their subclasses and stuff, but I still think it's pretty fun. New perks, new class, chaos faction, only perk and classes, new mission, a lot, man, a lot. Yes, we do need a lot of new content. Blood Angel skin. Well, we did get a Blood Angel skin. I hope we get like a champion skin though. Chaos and more content for bigger maps. We'll see. I doubt we're ever gonna get chaos though. Let's talk about the Chaos Faction 1000 Suns being fixed, in which case definitely Crabhead. Or Mr. Head Crab, excuse me. Complete rework of CHP system to actually make it worthwhile mechanic without the team perks that make it viable. Obviously, melee is the priority there, as currently most weapons essentially don't regain CHP at all. But even from range, there should be you should be able to use the CHP to sustain yourself in firefights better. It is really good already for some guns, just depends. Currently, lots of chippy rangefinder casts worse for this. Essentially eliminates CHP as soon as it appears, prevents any recovery. This is kind of true. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that though, because like there are a lot of like ranged weapons are pretty good for CHP regen. It's just melee that sucks. But or like some of the automatic weapons. It should be more like the rally system from Bloodborne, where it encourages more aggression against enemies. At its CHP sooner evolving is sustained to really do the same. I mean, for ranged weapons, I think it is like the Bloodborne one. For melee weapons, it'd definitely be better. Banner customization for Bulwark, true. Less loading screens, especially loading hub locations 3 times in a row because players disconnect is just madness. Better matchmaking system lets you choose whom you are connecting in, who you are connecting to, their level, rank, and preferably their team perk. Range enemies that can melee must melee if you get close and start hitting them. This is true. I actually talked to quite a few people about this. Like Dark Tide does this very well, where like once you get in melee, the ranged enemies will just start meleeing you, which is what they should do in this game. But a lot of them will actually just jump back from you and start shooting, which is very fucking obnoxious in this game and forces one particular playstyle. He also says Devourer's gun is clearly designed around a 20 meter plus firing distance. Pellets are slow and have high dispersion. So if you get hit, then only by a couple of them, but at point blank, it becomes an automatic shotgun from hell. True. They can also at least decrease its damage at close range like 3 times. Enemies shouldn't fire through each other. Yeah, Devourers are very annoying in that you have to just dodge their shots at close range because they do stupid damage. Like if you get hit by every pellet, you're cooked. Now, very questionable. Block weapons should be able to parry kill Minoris enemies, but say would only give half of the armor bar. Dealing with Minoris with block weapons is really awkward, and parrying them is so satisfying. This change probably make block 10 times more popular. I don't think block weapons struggle at all with Minoris. Honestly, I don't even think Minoris parry is that good in this game, because a lot of the time, the thing you actually get armor back from are the warriors and stuff like that, and block actually does that better. Flamer. Well, Pyro Cannon is coming. Priority 0, actual loadouts, save more than weapons equipped. True. Priority 1, either lobby browser or their solution of choice for the Tech Marine about the brick PvE. I definitely agree with both of these. Here's a heart. Perks to change with loadouts. True. Stable servers. Definitely true. Bolt damage rework. More missions. More enemies. More stable servers and less buggy code. New classes and different weapons. Buffing classes rather than nerfing everything because it's good. Also true. A meta class, the Apothecary or Tech Marine. I definitely want the Tech Marine, but I don't think we're gonna get a Apothecary here. It needs to have the ability to drink meowed like the wolves and burped. They do have like their super, I forget what they call this. They have like their super Fenrisian alcohol they drink and like shout on ships about because how much they fucking love to get drunk. And that's like the only actual alcohol they can get drunk off of. Well, it's really more like a poison, but the point is, wolves are alcoholics. Space wolves. Content as a whole, more maps, features, weapon classes, enemies, the perks, a lot of it. Some is coming as we know, but it can't come soon enough, to be honest. The game released with nearly a third the maps of Dark Tide, as many enemy types, but split amongst factions. To be fair, like 99% of Dark Tide maps are exactly the same or feel exactly the same. They haven't really like improved their map design in a while. Dark Communion was pretty good, and like they've gotten better in Dark Tide, but like Dark Tide maps are like not what I would call like the most unique looking things ever. In fact, the operations for Space Marine are far more unique than any of the Dark Tide maps. It's all in like one hype city. Bonus ones are Siege performance and Chaos being rebalanced, as they're just not very fun outside of Siege, and even then I just want NIDs. I think Chaos will be a lot better once the Chaos spawn comes out. They said remove the Biovore ramming speed. It makes me sad. Yeah, they really should knock you over. I'd have to agree with that. Better game optimization so you don't spend so much time on loading screens. Also, I'd like to see some type of auto queue drop so I don't keep rejoining that same AFK armory lobby for 10 minutes. True. No PvE content. Siege was nice, but it's a single map. Repetitive nature have already made it a grind. I think like Siege could definitely use like a bit of a rework in some areas. More detailed explanations for new players. It's almost required to go online to find out what anything means. In game, nothing is explained as far as combos. You can't see outside combat. This is really stupid that you can't actually see weapon combos and like the armory screen to go in game, or the differences between block/balance/ fencing. It's really opaque. I agree with this 100%. I was actually just thinking about this the other day, 13th Warrior, that this game doesn't tell you shit. Like, block weapons, nobody knows what the fuck block weapons do unless they were here from launch and read all the patch notes or like watch guides online. And that's why so many people don't even know like how good block weapons can be, let alone what they even fucking do at times. So I definitely agree with this 100%. Like, this game doesn't tell people jack shit. It's almost like Saber Interactive just assumes that everybody that plays the game currently has played it forever, which is obviously not true. So hopefully they do have like a better tutorial at some point for people. Chaplains would be pretty cool. Ranged combat, so we don't have to roll spam when getting blank range shot. Yeah, ranged combat could definitely use a bit of a rework in some ways, or just like have some other type of counterplay. Kind of like, you know, perfect dodge and melee combat's pretty good. You have like parries, perfect block, and perfect dodge. And for ranged combat, it's like shoot them back and dodge. It's like your only option. Alpha Centauri says practice arena when you can't fight any combination of enemies in the game, where you can fight any combination of enemies in the game. True. Equipment loadouts 100% true. And rework damage models. Weapons feel less like pop guns and more like bolters. More enemy physical reactions to damage. Hopefully they really double down on doing this for the next game. Like, I was talking to Zambit about this, so like having an armor tear system would really help some of these enemies feel a lot less bullet spongy. Having some like representation of like, okay, you shot off the Tyranid warrior's armor and then they have like a weak spot there that you get like the full headshot damage multiplier buff from, would be pretty cool. You can also do that for bosses. We'll see what they do later, but like for this game, having some reworked body shot models probably like a lot better for sure. I would like an extra grindy lifetime kill achievements or ordeal, 4.4 million or something. All of these giving players progression for failed hard siege mode runs. Yeah, Dark Tide does this really well for like, you know, having penances you're always working towards, so not a bad idea at all. More ops, block weapon speed buff, heavy block melee unga bunga. True. Better optimization. This game makes my Series X sound like a PS4. Then after 30 minutes minimum, it crashes my console. I have no experience with this personally. That sounds pretty fucking awful. Since it is impossible to win games on FOV slider, we need to disable crossplay for the sake of all PC gamers. In all seriousness, I'd so appreciate it if your ability to use cancels all current animations on button press and gets you out of stagger. I don't know if it's going to get you out of stagger, but canceling animations with ability press would be pretty cool for like a new little bit of tech or a skill cap thing increase, but that's not a bad idea. It would be a significant buff, but also allow for a much snappier interactive gameplay. It would lower frustration due to VS deaths while perma-CC'd. This is true. Perma-CC, I mean, crowd control in games is always like the least fun mechanic, because whenever movement is ripped from the player or like controls ripped from the player, it feels bad. I mean, I know it's the point of crowd control, but like there's a balance to it. And like right now, crowd control effects in this game go nuts. A blockchain store with more than one speed. True. Rebalance classes so they can remove the roll queue, because good god, when Tech Marine is out, you're going to be struggling for matches. We'll see what they do, but I doubt they're ever going to actually do that. Increase XP for regular siege mode and remove it from hard. This would be a bad idea. Like, regular siege mode should be like the grind mode for XP. Solo bot class selection or weapon selection. This would definitely be cool. I didn't even think about that. End game content. I mean, removing requisition point cap at 2,000 and add some cosmetic or title that you can unlock for a stupid high amount of point, like 5 million or something. So you feel like you get points for something at the end of the day, or let us use it to get advantage on specific runs. Like for 5,000, you start operations with the relic or something. This isn't actually a bad idea at all. Now, I'm going to go back into like the way back time of Call of Duty Extinction. So Call of Duty Extinction had like a whole, it was like their Call of Duty Ghost zombie-esque thing where you had to fight aliens instead. And that lets you have like, throughout the missions, you could collect what were called teeth. And like eventually you could like double spec into classes and stuff like that and get like a bunch of like starting mission bonuses. And it was really cool to keep people playing. Like you could play that mode for like hundreds, if not thousands of hours. Very interesting way to like keep people playing, and this game has none of that at times, so it's not be a bad idea whatsoever. So I figured that. Now Oberon says massive bug fixing patch. The game is better than ever, but also buggier than ever. Vanguard is just kind of unplayable because of the grapple bugs, and half of his perks require this ability to actually function. He's fun as hell when he works, especially the new melee weapon buffs and ranged weapon buffs he got too, but he just doesn't work half the time. This is mostly an issue with the tactical prowess zone of impact, and like that is, if it weren't for that, Vanguard would be so much better. That like his grapnel actually just gets eaten by tactical prowess at times, and like will actually get you killed. It has gotten me killed like straight up at times. I do agree with this partially. No registers on the parry slash block is also awful and severely breaks the flow of combat. This is not okay, it needs to be fixed ASAP. This is 100% true as of right now, and really since the game came out, there are times where your perfect parry or perfect block will literally phase through an attack. You will take no damage, but the enemy will you'll not get a block charge, you'll not get a parry, and this can just straight up fucking kill you. And this has been in the game for months. This should be fixed over everything else, in my opinion, because parrying and blocking and perfect dodging are the most fundamental parts of this game's combat system, and the fact that no registers on parry slash block can happen, period, especially in what can be upwards of 8-hit combos coming at you, they need to work, period. They just need to work. The Carnifex is also kind of a piece of shit right now. Besides him spamming artillery mode, he also periodically has spaz attacks, flailing around and shooting in every direction like a schizo, and sometimes deciding to slide across the floor after running into the wall for some reason. The Carnifex is off his meds and needs correction. I'm not sure if the artillery buff was intentional. I'm pretty sure it was, though, because him pointing, pinpointing you sounds like something they do on purpose. But yeah, Carnifex is kind of a stupid boss right now, especially in solo. If you're on a class that can move around quickly, it is incredibly easy to get frame trapped in the artillery right now. If you stack a Lictor on top of him like a Ravener, he'll just body you at times. He also says, beyond the bugs, we seriously need perk loadouts. True. Saying it's not in our priorities is complete BS. 100% true. This is the biggest load of shit we ever heard from Saber. I don't care what your priorities are. Perk loadouts are a core feature that needs to exist for weapon loadouts to function properly. 100% true. I especially struggle with this because I have ADHD and I often forget to change perk loadouts when changing weapons. There's no reason I can't just be done with changing an entire build by pressing one button. This is just true. I agree with pretty much everything here. I don't know if I agree the Vanguard's literally unplayable, but all this other stuff, yeah, Carnifex is kind of on crack right now. No registers on parry slash block are bullshit, and the bugs here just need to be fixed. Or excuse me, the perk loadouts need to be fixed straight up. So 100% true. 9% of that. This game desperately needs perk loadouts. 100% true. I know I've gone through Borwolzy had perk loadouts, so there's no excuses for me. Yeah, definitely perk loadouts need to happen. Hard siege mode, at least 3 per siege level 3 requirement. More melee chaos enemies. New operations siege mode map. New class. Probably won't happen, but in this game ever. But a whole new enemy faction. Maybe we will get a whole new enemy faction one day. But I do agree with most of this. New weapons. Playable Imperial Guard. There is a mod for this I was going to try out, but I doubt we'll ever actually see that in the official game. Just more stuff to do, ops, campaign, etc. Perk loadouts and weapon setup per loadout. I'm glad to see so many people saying perk loadouts here, perk loadout, perk loadout. FOV for console, definitely true. Make melee actually viable with contested health recovery, increase, or rework. It seems like a lot of people are on the same page here, guys, which I am happy to see. Most people, a lot of the problems of this game have become very apparent, and the biggest 3 to me are the CHP recovery, perk loadouts, and parry registration bugs and stuff like that. So I 100% agree with that. In-game access to operations created by modders, ideally all content created by modders. Maybe they'll do that one day. I know some consoles have gotten some console games like Baldur's Gate 3 now. Bethesda games like Fallout 4 and even Skyrim have mods on consoles now. So it would be cool to have an in-game mod browser or something for people, but we'll see what they actually do. I kind of doubt it though for this game, to be honest. Developers would be nice. Serviceability and bug fixes, to be honest. True. Fixing the jump pack and the assault so it works each time the button is pressed. Right now it does nothing 50% of the time on PC. It works every time for me when I use it. So I'm going to talk about here. More weapons, specifically primary weapons, and of course a more refined matchmaking system like a server browser. Server browser would be nice, but I doubt we're ever to see that. More weapons are also always good. When the host speed leaves the lobby and you're stuck loading all the result screen screen timers into loading up the next host migration just for the other guy who's now the host to leave as well, and then leave you in another host migration to yourself. Can we just go back to our bars instead of hanging out with the host? True. This is I 100%. I've experienced this personally. This sucks. The loading times are absurd. 100% true. Perk loadouts or hard siege level lock. Perk loadouts for sure. Hard siege level lock could definitely be good. At least wave 25. At least level 25. I feel like level 25 is fair enough. You're max level on a class. You don't want to prestige all the way. You can play hard siege. I think that's totally cool. They need to add Terminator as a new class. Terminators would be cool. More weapons, more unlockable cosmetics, definitely. Perk loadouts, load time, and crashing, definitely Tyrell. Load times, 20-minute loading time. I don't know if this is on console, if you're talking console or PC, but either way, on PC it's awful. I have no idea what it's like on console, but I imagine it's even worse. More operation missions, another siege map, more enemies, basically just content. I mean, content is good. Rework the cosmetics, shouldn't be 2 separate helmets for a symbol, and shouldn't be helmets that force symbols. Same with campaign badges and purity seals. Let those be added to 1 armor piece. Let those be add 1 to armor pieces. Okay, I definitely agree with this. Like, the cosmetics shouldn't have so many like chapter specific stuff on them, especially like the Sergeant Matoris one, because like the Twitch drop Sergeant Matoris chest plate looks really cool and it's like permanently an ultramarine symbol, which I understand because it is a Sergeant Matoris's chest plate, but give me like a different decal system or something like that. More operations and content. We will pay, take our money, plus fix the damn bugs. So bored of jetpack failing to work in the heated battle and then dying because of it. I don't know what the fuck people are talking about, the jetpack not working. Although I guess it does have that one where like it just like sends you around. So here's what he's talking about. Level prestige based matchmaking. Why am I doing ruthless and lethal with brand new players nonstop? I don't want to sit there and teach them over and over. Make it pretty broad matchmaking. Why not? But holy man, yeah, like the level / prestige based matchmaking is pretty awful. I just play with viewers now because it's just, first of all, they're cool to play with, and also second of all, they're usually going to stick around far longer than like anyone I actually like random matchmake with, let alone disconnections. New ops and the cultists with rifles need to not do so much damage. Makes no fucking sense they can hurt that much. They do more damage to you than Terminators do. I think some of the sniper rifles are pretty easy to dodge in this game, but there used to be like 10 of them, so it was pretty awful back then. The Emperor's Spears chapter, that would be pretty cool. I think 9.0 is solid. I just need my favorite chapter. I think 9.0 is pretty solid. We just use more. Give us greenskins and loadouts. I mean, I don't know if greenskins are #1 priority, but definitely a good thing to have. Make mods available for console players, since modders are doing a better job of customization, in my opinion. Not as bad by any stretch. They do have an easier time because they have no overhead. They have no quality assurance team that has to make sure that like these packs can go out. They don't have to talk to Games Workshop. It's honestly a shock that the modders in this game can simply even like get this content out half the time, because Saber Interactive is actually very open to the modding teams in this game. They open up significantly more of this game's files and content and work alongside mod authors all the time. So I think Saber Interactive does get too much shit for this, but yeah, the customization and mods, they could definitely learn a thing or two. And if they brought even like half of that over to the main game, it would be pretty cool. Offline / client side saving and hosting for long-term longevity and health of the game. True. Change perks in each class. In my honest opinion, a major overhaul is necessary. I don't know if they're actually going to change all the perks. A lot of the perks are really good, but like a lot of the rows have non-choices, which is like the biggest issue. So like some reworks would be good for sure. Fully rework damage and health of every unit in the game. Gun damage, melee, all the NPC damage, everyone's HP. I'm okay if I have 100 HP and enemy can deal 9% in one shot. Swing only if I can kill the enemy in 2 to 3 shots or 1 single headshot. I don't think this game is ever going to be balanced around that kind of gameplay, because like it's just so fundamentally against like the combat loop of the game that they have to like rebuild it from the ground up. Make easy mode even easier with way more XP and gold rewards and tons more enemies to kill. Interesting. I've never like, are we having normal mode? Is that considered easy mode? I only know about this. A goddamn iron halo for the bulwark. How about an easy way to find modded game / ops from within the game? Fully embrace modding for the longevity of the game. Maybe that's down the road at the end of year 2. They might open it up to console players, but like I don't think like modding this game is very, like, mods are very hard to find to begin with. You just go on the Nexus and like try out the different stuff they have, different overhauls. But yeah, for sure it would be pretty good. More cosmetics to make yourself stand out a bit more. Yeah, I mean, more cosmetics are always good for this game. Since launch, the way you join any game was bad. The endless loading screens, the way lobbies work, and how the games that you join are selected. All these things are weird and rigid. As with many things in Space Marine 2, it feels like it's made by people that don't even play video games. Also nerf the Biovore into the ground, please. Yeah, Biovore's a little cracked. I do agree, like sometimes those with the devs don't play their own game. Perk loadout, FOV on console, level requirement for Siege. These are definitely all base takes for sure. Brother, we need perk loadouts, brother. Definitely need perk loadouts. I think they've done a decent job making the game more fun / playable recently. It seems more content to enjoy it with. Also, I've noticed the other day that Heavy has the most boring and inconsequential class perks. His prestige perks are somehow better and more interesting. They should fix that too. Heavies encompassing Aegis is incredibly top tier. The other two are pretty shit, so I'd agree with that. Like 2 out of 3 are pretty bad. Fixing customization bugs and oddities, plus give us at least 10 slots per class, infinite if possible. Like, what's the issue? Come on. This person says otherwise a bot loadout customization. Bot loadout customization would be good, but like I never really like 10 slots. Perks. A silent audio bug for PS4 controllers and headsets. Didn't even know this was a thing. Constant DC or lag. I feel like this might be like an internet issue, because I have seen like a lot of people have like red bars. Buff the auto bolt rifle. Definitely needs a buff. More content. Optimization for the love of God. Get rid of the class and perk system. You don't want any perks in this game. Orcs. I'm pretty sure it was posted by Orc. Poster by Mr. Bombastic, Orc Lover. Remove the class restrictions, please. I want to make an iron bubble of 3 heavies and hard siege. They're never going to do this because it's just be broken. But man, just bug fixes. How long have we had the heavy class with 2 of the same helmets since they add customizable lenses? The customization update that's coming had better slap, and also the slow drip. Just pump out quality content and take my money. We'll spend. Taking money, we'll spend. People will buy content in this game, but like, I don't know, DLC packs are pretty archaic. A lot of people don't like the ideas of MTX, but we'll see what they do in like the future. Maybe they will add MTX to this game, but like usually adding MTX to a game post-launch is like super bad for optics of like a company, so they don't want to do that. Like look what happened to Payday 2 and like what was the other game, Killing Floor. They both got a ton of shit for that, and also I don't know. I'm like, my take is I'm willing to have it. Like, I think if MTX are done right and a live service is done right, like Helldivers, it can work to get you a ton of quality content out for the game. But in the case of Space Marine 2, they have a very archaic design for like DLC releases, and there's no incentive for a company to ever put out content unless it's making them money. And that's the unfortunate truth. But hopefully the DLCs actually do work enough, because Dark Tide, like we know for a fact that in the case of a game like Dark Tide, just because you do have MTX, it doesn't mean you're actually going to put out content all the time. Because Dark Tide hardly has releases, and then they release like a big DLC, everybody buys it. They're like 400,000 these classes made, which is like around 400,000 DLC purchases, which means that they made a lot of money and they didn't really come back to make a ton of content. They went on vacation, so it's a give and take. It really depends on the company, I guess. But like, I don't know. I'm kind of go back and forth on MTX. It is like an interesting question to bring up about like, we want a slow drip, just pump out the quality content, because in theory, more MTX, more purchases in game, if done properly with the right company, can mean more quality content. But also companies are greedy as fuck, so it really does depend. Remove the class limit in PvE. Let us have fun. I stopped playing this game, but I'd be back if they did do that. But I have zero hope for that. I don't think they're going to remove the class limit, because it would just break the game's balance super hard as some class loadouts. Perk loadouts, level cap, hard siege mode, and for the love of God, nerf the card effects of spike attack. Yeah, this thing's on crack right now. And perk loadouts, absolutely mandatory. Glad you guys keep bringing this up. For me, Space Marine 2 is just no fun. Linear and boring missions without any special modifier. The combat still feels awful because you hit like a wet noodle, even the smallest units ready to pieces if you don't block or dodge every hit, because your armor is also just a decoration. I don't think the melee weapons really hit like a wet noodle, and I think like most of the smaller Tyranids are pretty easy to shred these days. As far as like special modifiers go, they are coming out with modifiers. Maybe you'll enjoy it more then. Content and an increase in XP. I barely have 20 hours in this game. I'm already getting a bit bored. Same operations, same 2 enemy types over and over. Each class taking 50,000 years levels, and your player sucks too. I mean, I think the first leveling experience should be the longest, but like prestige ranks shouldn't take forever. Maps, server choice, aside from connectivity issues and bugs that might partially be on my end, I don't think there's anything that needs to happen urgently. The game is great even with its limitations, mostly cosmetics and balance issues. If I had to pick something, I'd say an extremis and a terminus for chaos, or in general something to elevate the factions to 200 levels. I think there are like yeah, but I don't think it's actually that bad for like urgent decisions of like content releases. I mean, the game does need more content, I think that's true, but as far as like bugs go, there are some pretty pressing bugs. Repair the Mark 8 helmet. It doesn't look right. True. Also add the Mark 7 helmet. Rework the lobby system and greatly reduce loading times. This might just be a technical limitation, but like maybe they will optimize it one day. There's just not enough content. Like, it's surprising how much tread the like 10 missions have, accounting siege, but it just runs out. It still doesn't feel like a finished game in that regard. I can definitely see this take being how someone could feel. Removing the timer from siege remove the timer from siege, and or give us the ability to start at wave 15 on hard with maybe 1,500 requisition points. Maybe only if you've beaten 25 organically or something. On a side note, I think it's really funny people keep bringing up the requisition points as like, let's just spend them on like random bullshit, because there's literally nothing else to use them for in this game, because it's just like they're like empty points at a certain point. Pushing the waves, but like kind of sucks. He says, if you've beaten 25 organically or something, pushing the waves, but kind of sucks getting timed out at 30 odd, draining, having to go back through the first 15 to try and push further when you're gonna get timed out eventually. It's kind of killing the replayability for me. I completely butchered that last sentence, but the point is that yeah, I feel like siege mode definitely needs like a removal of the timer. The fact they launched siege mode with the timer is kind of fucking stupid. Like they should just push it back, but I guess they had to get it out for like Skull's event. Orcs, all right, Evan, our orc enjoyer here, to be able to buy skins like Malem Kato. I doubt they're gonna have like a Malem Kato skin in the game. That would be kind of neat. This guy also says orcs add Necrons. I doubt we're gonna see like a new faction Necrons until Space Marine 3, but orcs may be in this game one day, like a little small buff. So many to choose from, but to be honest, sort the damn loading times out. So bored of waiting 2 minutes to join a server, host leaves, 2 minutes to get back to the battle barge, wait 2 more minutes to join a server, get disconnected, take 2 minutes to get back to the battle barge, rinse, repeat. I want to play the game, not sit in the loading screens whilst your servers figure out how to create a stable connection. Yeah, the servers need to fix in this game, period. It just needs to happen. This guy says, contrarian, stop saying it's worse than the first game. I don't know if they're contrarians, but I never played a ton of the first game, so I have like a major opinion on this. Some parts of the first game were definitely better, but like also rose-tinted glasses are a thing. So I mean, I can't really say if it was better or worse. I didn't play a ton of the first one, but that's certainly a take you can have. Change the enemies' HP. They are bullet sponges. Stop nerfing the weapons. Make all the weapons functional. I don't really know which weapons are like seriously nerfing in this game, period. Most of the nerfs in this game have been pretty justified, to be honest, but like I can't really think. It's been like 99% buffs. So I don't know what he's referring to in the grenade launcher. Matchmaking PvP is horrible. Teams at level 1s and 10s and other teams at level 30 plus. Where are you? I guess level 30 plus would be the PvP. Oh, he's talking about PvP. Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't play PvP, so I have no fucking clue. Fix the goddamn matchmaking. Today, I get matched with a guy who sits there AFK in the battle barge. I wait for 2 minutes, leave or requeue, and I get matched with the same AFK. And then it happens again. Also, he's level 7 queuing for Hard Siege as a cherry on top. How can the game not detect he's been sitting there and not moving for like 10 plus minutes? Maybe he's just trying to farm me for XP. But yeah, a siege level cap would go a long way. And this guy says orcs, but he misspelled them. Fucking get rid of dueling mode and fix the bugs that have been in the game since day one, so teleporting roles. Just fix bugs before they add any new content. Spend an update optimizing the game so it doesn't take 2 minutes loading to a match. And so console siege mode doesn't run at 40 FPS half the time. I'm tired of playing this game. I feel like console siege mode is always going to struggle with performance because the consoles aren't very powerful currently. Some of them are, but like this game is multi-platform and some consoles are just weaker than others. And I feel like siege mode is like seriously digging into the banks to like make sure this shit doesn't just go on, like light your fucking console on fire. And maybe Space Marine 3 like release on a new generation, but for Space Marine 2, I feel like siege mode is really pushing the limit of what some of the consoles can handle. You know, I don't know for sure because like PS5 is pretty strong at times. But like on some of the older ones, actually, I don't even know when the last ones were released. I have no fucking idea, guys. I don't play on console. Forget everything I just said here. But the point is that I'm pretty sure that if they push the siege mode too far, the consoles will actually just light on fire, because this is what devs have done many, many times for games like Cyberpunk, where they just try to push them out on console to like maximize their profits, and like they're clearly not optimized for the consoles they're on. I don't know if that's the case for this game, with all the people talking about the bugs on consoles, how hot they run, and like all the optimization issues. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Let me know in the comments below, because I don't play this game on console personally, but if that is an issue, which it seems to be for a lot of people, I would like to know. More content. Oh, something Saber can do. Why not divide mag size and reserve ammo by 2, then multiply range damage by 2? I mean, I guess they could reduce it and like multiply the range damage, but range damage isn't really that bad in the game, period, for like most of the weapons. Most of the weapon problems in this game at the moment are like that some of the variants suck, rather than like the weapons having no good variants, period, which is way better than it was before. But, like things like the bolt rifle now, pretty good headshot damage on the accuracy variant. The ×2 headshot multiplier is very strong. And cutting the ammo reserves, like shooting the mag sizes, there are a lot of things in this game to like circumvent that, so it would be pretty broken at times. Work on PvP is the final comment here. I don't think they will, Viking comment. I'm afraid I do not think they will. Anyways, guys, thank you all for commenting on this community post. All 300 comments left behind. It took me a while to get through this. I have no idea how long it was. If you're still here in the video and you like content like this, subscribe for more. I do read through these occasionally. I try to get through most of my community posts if I can. And you guys usually have some pretty interesting things to say if I fumble my words sometimes, because it is kind of hard to read through 300 comments in one sitting. Maybe I'll split them up in the future. But either way, thank you guys for watching. And once again, if I kind of like this, subscribe for more and take it easy. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And that's all for me. Bye.